Good evening, and right before we dive into the main story, I'd like to quickly mention that the regime of censorship here on YouTube has just reached a new level. That's because just earlier today, just a few hours ago, our Epoch TV's YouTube channel was doing live coverage of the IRS whistleblower who was testifying in front of Congress against the Biden family. And even though all we were doing was showing the actual testimony that was taking place in front of the House Oversight Committee, YouTube not only pulled down the video, but they also gave our channel a strike. Must be election season. And so, if you are just as sick and tired of all the censorship as I am, you're in luck, because the Epoch Times has just extended our awesome sale on subscriptions, just 25 cents a week for the whole year, which if you do the math works itself out to just be $1 a month. And so, if you have been on the fence, you've been thinking about it, not sure whether to subscribe or not, but you're 100% sure that you're just fed up with all this unbridled censorship and you're looking for a source of honest news, well, perhaps take the sale as an opportunity to try the Epoch Times out for yourself. I'll throw a link down into the description box below this video, and you can click on that link and try the Epoch Times yourself for just a single $1 a month. Now, jumping into today's main topic, a new study was just released showing that at least 45% of America's tap water contains what are known as forever chemicals. That's right, this 5-year-long study that was conducted across the nation between the years 2016 to 2021, it found that these toxic, harmful forever chemicals were present in at least 45% of the water that's coming out of the taps in American kitchens. Furthermore, what is perhaps an even more startling revelation that came out of this paper is that this was actually the first government study of its kind. I repeat, despite the fact that Americans pay a cumulative $4.8 trillion in taxes every single year, and despite the fact that these forever chemicals have been known to be present in America's waterways for the past 50 years now, well, somehow, this is the first study of its kind to be conducted. In fact, according to the United States Geological Survey, which is the actual agency that was in charge of this research, here's what they said, quote, "This study marks the first time anyone has tested for and compared PFAS in tap water from both private and government-regulated public water supplies on a broad scale throughout the United States." That is, if nothing else, both shocking, and it also leaves you wondering what else could the federal government be telling us is safe, while at the same time, behind the scenes, they haven't actually run any scientific tests on. Regardless, let's dig into the details of this research. To start with, as I mentioned a moment ago, well, this 5-year-long study was conducted by the U.S. Geological Survey, which is a government agency. And the paper that they ultimately published was titled this, quote, "Per and polyfluoroalkyl substances, otherwise known as PFAS substances, in United States tap water. Comparison of underserved private well and public supply exposures and associated health implications." Now, in this title, the researchers referenced PFAS chemicals, which are otherwise known as forever chemicals. And these forever chemicals, which are found not only in drinking water, but also in things like cosmetics, food packaging, dental floss, among literally thousands of other products, they have recently been found to be a lot more harmful than previously imagined, being now linked to various illnesses, various cancers, reduced birth weight, developmental challenges for children, among many other health problems. Now, the technical name for these chemicals is PFAS, which stands for pre-fluoroalkyl or polyfluoroalkyl substances. And it's really worth highlighting that PFAS is not just one single chemical. It's instead a large class of these man-made chemicals that have been manufactured and used in a huge variety of industries since at least the late 1940s. And I really do mean a huge variety of industries, because these synthetic chemicals are used to make everything from food wrappers, sunscreen, nonstick pans, to makeup, hand lotion, dental floss, outdoor gear, smartphones, pesticides, the foam that comes out of a fire extinguisher, waterproof coating for clothing, as well as furniture, as well as quite literally hundreds of other products that are designed to withstand heat, withstand water, withstand grease, and or stains. And so when you see this giant list of products, well, it becomes pretty clear that PFAS is not just one single thing. It has many forms for many uses. And in fact, there are quite literally over 9,000 chemicals in the general PFAS family, but they all have two things in common. First, they're all man-made. And second of all, they all contain, at the molecular level, chains of carbon atoms that are bonded together with fluorine atoms. And these particular molecular chains are important because the bonds between the carbon and the fluorine are so strong that they cannot be broken by water, they cannot be broken by the enzymes from bacteria, and they cannot be broken by most other natural substances. Meaning that these strong chemical bonds make it such that these PFAS chemicals just do not degrade naturally. They stick around both in the human body as well as in the environment for a very long time. And they're also very stable, even when submerged in water. such that they can travel quite literally thousands of miles from the original source without being degraded. And that's exactly why people refer to them as forever chemicals, because once they're there, once they're in the environment, they're very hard to get rid of. And because the use of these PFAS chemicals, especially over the past 50 years, has just been so prolific, they are, as of today, found everywhere. That's because they are released into the environment during the manufacturing process. They are disposed of by being either thrown into landfills or incinerated, and so through those processes, they wind up in the soil, the water, and the air. They leak out of products they're in, and so if, let's say, you wash clothing that contains PFAS or you drink water from bottles that contain BPA, the chemicals are leaching into the water supply and therefore into your body. And then, because PFAS chemicals don't easily break down after they're ingested into our bodies, they build up over time in our bloodstream. In fact, according to a study that was recently conducted by the CDC, they found that over 99% of the American population has blood that contains these PFAS chemicals. And in that same study, they found that the degree to which people have these PFAS chemicals in their bloodstream depends a lot on different various lifestyle factors, such as people's diets, where they live, what they're exposed to at home and at work, and even things that seem rather innocuous, such as the type of clothing they wear or the brand of dental floss that they use. Meaning that depending on your lifestyle, you might have more or less of these chemicals in your system, but almost everyone has at least some of them. That's because no matter where you live and no matter what lifestyle you subscribe to, well, it doesn't really matter because everyone still needs to drink water. And over the past 50 years, these PFAS chemicals have come to proliferate the entirety of the water supply, which brings us right back to the study that was just conducted by the U.S. Geological Survey. What these researchers did is that between the years 2016 and 2021, they traveled across the country and they took water samples from 716 different locations, 269 private wells, and 447 public water supplies. And one of the reasons that this particular study is so solid is because these researchers were not just testing the water at the wells and at the reservoirs, but rather they were actually going into people's homes and grabbing the water that was coming straight out of the tap. Here's how the lead author of the study described their methodology. Quote, U.S. Geological Survey scientists tested water collected directly from people's kitchen sinks across the nation, providing the most comprehensive study to date on PFAS in tap water from both private wells and public supplies. And then, Hello? Hey Roman, it's me, calling you with the help of today's sponsor, Patriot Mobile. Listen, for years now, we've just had to put up with the fact that our wireless providers are funneling millions, or in some cases billions of dollars to all these causes that we don't necessarily agree with. But now there's an actual solution. Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider that offers dependable nationwide coverage on all three major networks so you can get the best possible service in your area, no matter where you live, without all the propaganda that's being pushed by these different companies that are effectively destroying this country. When you make the switch to Patriot Mobile, you're supporting things like free speech, the sanctity of life, the Second Amendment, as well as all of our veterans, first responders, and cops who essentially make the country what it is. And best of all, their 100% US-based customer service lines, well, they make the switch super simple. And so either click on the link below this video or head on over to patriotmobile.com/Roman and use promo code Roman to get free activation today. That way, today, you can get awesome wireless service while at the same time having a clean conscience, knowing that your money isn't actually being funneled to all these causes that you don't necessarily agree with. Again, the link will be down there in the description box below. Check them out, and now let's have him back to the studio. And so then, once these researchers had all these samples in hand, they tested the water for 32 different PFAS markers. And based on these samples, quote, U.S. Geological Survey researchers determined by modeling that on average, at least one PFAS is detected in about 45% of U.S. tap water. Then you had the lead researcher for the study. She added this, quote, the study estimates that at least one type of PFAS, of those that were monitored, could be present in nearly half of the tap water in the U.S. Furthermore, PFAS concentrations were similar between public supplies and private wells. And then within the actual body of the study, they published a map. You can see it up on your screen, which showed their findings geographically. The green triangles there represent private wells that had PFAS chemicals detected. And the blue circles, they represent public water supplies that had PFAS chemicals detected. And as you can see, there is significantly more of these chemical detections in the eastern part of the country, especially in urban areas with heavier population densities. Whereas in the mountain west, well, the water supply is actually pretty clean. However, given the fact that there are quite literally thousands of chemicals in the general PFAS family, with many of them actually being undetectable with the current technology that we have, Well, these findings are likely only the tip of the iceberg, which is something that the researchers themselves acknowledge here in the paper. Quote, "The PFAS markers that we were targeting are only a fractional indicator of the 8,000 plus potential PFAS, and the fraction of total organic fluorine captured by these targeted analyses is typically low in surface water. Potential detection of one or more PFAS in U.S. drinking water, combined with the insufficient amount of information available on current use / ultra short chain compounds, supports the continued need for point of use tap water monitoring." Which I would say is a bit of an understatement. Now, if you'd like to know where your particular water source fits into the context of what these researchers found, I'll throw a link down into the description box below. You can click on that link and see the whole map for yourself. However, the researchers in the study, they did make a special mention that, quote, "Those interested in testing and treating private wells should contact their local and state officials for guidance. Testing is the only way to confirm the presence of these contaminants in wells." And so along that line, I will throw some resources down into the description box below this video that can help you find the correct person or the correct agency in your area in order to get your local water tested. All that, again, will be down in the description box below this video, which I should mention is that little description box right below those like and subscribe buttons, both of which I hope you take a moment to smash so that this video can reach ever more people via the beautiful YouTube algorithm. And then lastly, as I mentioned at the very top of the episode, if you would like to try the Epoch Times, if you would like to get unlimited access to everything, all of the articles that we have on there, all of the awesome infographics, all of the shows, the movies, the documentaries on Epoch TV, and just everything we publish, well, now is a great time with the awesome sale that we are still running. I'll throw a link to the sale page down into the top of the description box below. You can click on that link and use it to sign up for just a single $1 a month and try the Epoch Times for yourself. I'm sure you'll love it. The link is, again, right there at the top of the description box below. Click it if you're tired of the censorship on this platform right here. And then, until next time, I'm your host, Roman from the Epoch Times. Stay informed. Most importantly, stay free.